Hello. Did you enjoy yesterday's JK set practice questions? Today I am back with more. Sorry, I am 15 minutes late. Maybe some of you waited for me. So without much ado, let us start with the questions. Remember, JK set gives a lot of importance to Indian literature, criticism and theory. There are questions from British literature, but they are very simple. Literary terms, one question from research, one or two questions from linguistics, some current affairs, contemporary literature. All these are there, but majority of questions are from British literature and literary criticism and theory. So what I have done today is take the previous year questions and make questions based on it, so that it will help you in the upcoming exam. Dear friends, people who are preparing for JK set, then K set, WB set, Telangana set, all these people have approached us. We are starting a 10-day crash program in early October because many of you said you will benefit from it. I will be back with more details of that, but for the time being, let us look at these questions based on previous year questions. Are you ready for some intensive practice, guys? Whose purpose is to enliven morality with wit and to temper wit with morality? This is a question already asked. Who wrote something to enliven morality with wit and to temper wit with morality? Is it Bacon, Addison, Montaigne, or Lamb? It is, everybody might know, the purpose of the Spectator papers. So it is Addison. The purpose of the Spectator papers is to enliven morality with wit and to temper wit with morality. Remember that. Will you? Very good. I describe not men but manners, not an individual but a species. Who said this? Remember, guys, very famous statements that writers made which revealed their own reality, their own objectives. Such things could be important in JK set. I describe not men but manners, not an individual but a species. That means he is not talking about just one person. He is talking about the entire humanity, universal human nature. This is a feature of Neoclassicism. Who said this? Is it Thackeray, George Eliot, Dickens, or Fielding? Remember, only one of them is a neoclassicist. Who is that? Who is the neoclassicist here? It is Henry Fielding. Henry Fielding famously said in Tom Jones, I describe not men but manners, not an individual but a species. I think it is in the preface to Tom Jones. Am I wrong? You tell me. I have no brain above my eyes. I describe what I see. Who said this? This is a very important statement related to realism. This author is describing what he sees. He is not able to see beyond that. Everything he is writing about is based on what he sees. Is it Dickens, Hardy, Thackeray, or Meredith? Tell me, guys, who is the author? Who said this? Is it Dickens, Thackeray, Hardy, or Meredith? Yes, it is Thackeray who said this. Thackeray said, I have no brain above the eyes. I describe what I see. Thackeray's realism was based on George Eliot's realism. Thackeray was the author of very famous novel Vanity Fair. Before that, he wrote The Luck of Barry Lyndon, Pendennis, History of Pendennis, The Newcomes, Virginians. Remember, guys, he also wrote a Newgate novel called Catherine. Thackeray wrote The Four Georges. He wrote Rebecca and Rowena. By the way, which are the novels by Fielding? Fielding wrote Joseph Andrews. Before that, a pamphlet called Shamela. Then Joseph Andrews. Then Tom Jones. History of Jonathan Wild the Great. Very famous book is this History of Jonathan Wild. It attacked Robert Walpole. And Fielding also wrote Amelia. All right, guys. Are you ready for the next question? These questions are based on JK set previous year question papers, but these questions will help you with K set, with all kinds of set and net also. Recently, in Kerala, HSA and HSSC exams were conducted and result has come. Many of our students have got ranks. I'm so proud that all of you are doing so much hard work and reaping the benefits of it. It is not my teaching or this material, but you who is doing this wonderful work. Go on doing this work. You can do it, guys. I'm sure you are all doing amazing work. The result is very near. Who described her work thus? A little bit of ivory, 2 inches wide. Who said that? A little bit of ivory, 2 inches wide. Is it Charlotte Bronte, George Eliot, Elizabeth Gaskell, or Jane Austen? This novelist wrote in a very claustrophobic space without, talking about the wide world, the limited view this woman writer had of the world. That is what you see in her novels. A little bit of ivory, 2 inches wide. This novelist was also supported by Walter Scott. Tell me, dear friends, which of these writers, women writers, said this about her own work? It is, of course, Jane Austen. It is Jane Austen who said this. Are you loving this video, guys? Are you benefiting from these questions? Let us know. Okay, so the next question here, arts of the contact zone. This actually is an essay that they have already asked in the previous exam. Arts of the contact zone. In this essay, the author developed the concept of contact zone. Who is the author? Contact zone is that area where the colonizers and colonized are meeting. Is it Gayatri Spivak, Mary Louise Pratt, Homi Bhabha, or Jacques Derrida? Which of these writers talked about the contact zone? I am telling you, before years ago, in net also this question has come. In net also this question has come. Is it Gayatri Spivak, Mary Pratt, Homi Bhabha, or Jacques Derrida? I am sorry, guys, it is Mary Louise Pratt who developed the concept of contact zone. Remember, okay? Mary Louise Pratt developed the concept of contact zone. Gayatri Spivak talked about strategic essentialism. Homi Bhabha talked about ambivalence, hybridity, mimicry. Jacques Derrida talked about so many concepts: difference, deconstruction, aporia, trace, supplement, transcendental signified, isn't it? So look up theoretical terms, very, very important. Okay, now Arts of the Contact Zone is by Mary Louise Pratt. Okay, author function. Who wrote about author function? Not about the author, the person, but about the function of the author. That is what is important. What is important is not the person, the author. What is important is the function of the author. Do you know who it is? It is Michel Foucault. In What is an Author? He talked about author function. Roland Barthes talked about death of the author. He talked about author God, isn't it? Wayne C. Booth talked about implied author. Wayne C. Booth. Harold Bloom talked about misreading, misprision, anxiety of influence, revisionary ratios. What are the different terms of Michel Foucault? Michel Foucault talked about power in so many ways, isn't it? Discourse. Then he has developed concepts like Michel Foucault's concepts below. Have you heard of dispositive? Have you heard of governmentality, biopower, heterotopia, power knowledge? Foucault talked about power knowledge. Remember these terms. Today itself, you should Google search and find out. If any of you is doing, preparing for CUET PG entrance, you can watch this video because such questions will come for CUET PG entrance also. There are also very many other things that we are doing. There is a CUET PG quiz series and course starting. Right now, there is a CUET PhD quiz also starting. CUET has a PhD entrance as well as PG course, both of which we have programs for. If you're preparing for the PhD entrance, there is a quiz program on research methodology. This will immensely help you in NET and SET also, because for paper 1 and paper 2 both, we have research methodology. If you're preparing for CUET PG entrance or GATE, that is also coming up in October, right? And one short crash course for K-SET, Telangana SET and WB SET also coming. Any of you who has my old videos, don't worry. Those old videos are sufficient. Old videos plus a short quiz program will really help you. Even if you have old videos, take our quiz program also. It is not expensive. There are 10,000 quizzes in our NET quiz. CUET quiz program is also amazing. Okay. Okay. Next question to you. Worlding. Have you heard of worlding? Worlding means colonial ideas are naturalized. Worlding is a philosophical concept discussed by Heidegger, but who talked about worlding in 3 women's texts and a critique of imperialism? Who talked about worlding in 3 women's texts and a critique of imperialism? Tell me, guys. Is it Homi Baba or Linda Hutchian or Gayatri Spivak or Ania Lumba? It is Gayatri Spivak who talked about worlding. She wrote 3 women's texts and a critique of imperialism. 3 women's texts and a critique of imperialism. Will you remember? All right. Next, minor poetry. Have you heard of minor poetry? Minor poetry is the kind of poetry we read only in anthologies. Who is the author who talked about minor poetry, Bolo? Is it W.H. Auden? Kind of poetry we read only in anthologies. Is it W.H. Auden, D.H. Lawrence, Ezra Pound, or T.S. Eliot? Tell. Minor poetry is a concept discussed by T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot wrote, what is minor poetry? What is a classic also he wrote? Will you remember, guys? Minor poetry, T.S. Eliot. Minor literature is also there. Deleuze and Guattari talked about minor literature in the context of Kafka. Okay, that is right. Things to Leave Behind is a Sahitya Academy award-winning work. Who is the author? Things to Leave Behind. Sahitya Academy award-winning work. Things to Leave Behind. Is it Dom Moraes, Arundhati Subramaniam, Namita Gokhale, or Jeet Tayal? Tell me. Things to Leave Behind is by Namita Gokhale. She's a very important figure. Okay. Namita Gokhale. All the Lives We Never Lived. Who's the author? All the lives also got Sahitya Academy Award. They are asking in JK set questions based on Sahitya Academy Award, then Pulitzer Prize, then Booker Prize, then Nobel Prize. All these are being asked. Yes, it is Anuradha Roy. All the lives we never lived. Why am I giving you all this information? So that you will just remember this. Watch this video again and again. Okay, don't worry if you don't know. Next question. Inglorious Empire, what the British did to India. Have you heard of this book? This book, is it by Upamanyu Chatterjee, Shashi Tharoor, Arundhati Roy, or Sumit Sarkar? I will give you a clue. Inglorious Empire, what the British did to India. It is also called an era of darkness. It is by Shashi Tharoor. Will you remember? Shashi Tharoor wrote Inglorious Empire, also called an era of darkness. It is about the British Raj in India. All right. Viet Thanh Nguyen's Pulitzer-winning novel. This is a Vietnamese-American writer. Viet Thanh Nguyen. They asked this in previous net. Is it the sympathizer, the night watchman, the nickel boys, the underground railroad? Tell. Vietnamese. It is the sympathizer. The sympathizer, okay? Louis Erdrich is the author of Night Watchman. Nickel Boys and Underground Railroad are by Colson Whitehead. They are all very important Pulitzer-winning writers. This writer is very important. Viet Thanh Nguyen. He wrote The Sympathizer. He's a Vietnamese-American writer. Will you remember? Very good. Which is the book not by Kazuo Ishiguro? Clara and the Sun, Never Let Me Go, The Crystal World, and When We Were Orphans. Guys, do not feel like this is very difficult. I'm just helping you to remember. You can read extra about these works and authors. Clara and the Sun is by Kazuo Ishiguro. It is about an AI robot. Never Let Me Go is about cloning by Kazuo Ishiguro. The Crystal World is by J.G. Ballard. That is not by Kazuo Ishiguro. When We Were Orphans is by Kazuo Ishiguro. Will you remember, guys? Did you like that? A quibble was to him the fatal Cleopatra for which he lost the world. Who said about Shakespeare? A quibble was to him the fatal Cleopatra for which he lost the world. Who said about Shakespeare? Tell me, is it Dryden, Johnson, Arnold, or Lamb? It is Johnson who called quibbles Shakespeare's fatal Cleopatra. Okay, right. The most learned and judicious writer which any theater ever had. Who said about Ben Jonson? The most learned and judicious writer which any theater ever had. Did Dryden say this? Johnson say this? Arnold say this? Lamb say this? It is Dryden in Of Dramatic Poesy. Who said this? Dryden. His poetry does not have the high poetic seriousness which Aristotle regards as a mark of superiority over the other arts. Somebody said this about Chaucer. Are you able to remember? Are you able to get it? Who said about Chaucer? His poetry does not have the high mark of superiority, high seriousness. Who talked about high truth and high seriousness? Yes, Anjali and Shivi, it is Matthew Arnold. It is indeed Matthew Arnold. Very good, guys. So that brings us to the end of this session. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back with more. Some days I will not do YouTube Live. Instead, I will give you a recording. If I'm doing YouTube Live or recording, whatever it is, we are trying to help you. Please watch the video, read extra on these authors and works, and happy learning. Rajinder Singh, our encyclopedias What About Theory? These are very important books for NET. Coordinator, please type in the chat box. There are 3 encyclopedias for British literature. There are 2 encyclopedias for American literature. The pre-booking for the 2nd volume American Literature Encyclopedia is going to start. It will start in a week, okay? And we have What About Theory, very good book. We have also a criticism book. Please check out bodhitreepublications.org. bodhitreepublications.org. That is where you will get to look at all our amazing books that have helped thousands of people to pass. Because I started teaching 25 years ago, now thousands of people have passed. Many of them are working in colleges. Many of them could be your teachers also. So that is about it. bodhitreepublications.org. Please check it out. All right, guys. This is Kalyani Vallath signing off. Good night. God bless you. See you tomorrow.